This segment of the job is brought to you by Reese Outdoors. When only the best will do. Custom Predator calls made in the USA.
So last night, Jason come in here with his wife and called a double out. Looked like it was a male-female.
I went the night before. I actually got my wife out and she was going to video for me. And right at dark, we had 2 coyotes come in. We didn't get the kill shot, but.
This is the pair that was over there and they came in. I got the male, that's the female.
Killed her boyfriend.
I killed her boyfriend. I keep it. He killed the male, so we're come back in here early this morning to see if we can call that female back out, or any other coyotes that might be in the area. So we're gonna slip in here, give it a try.
So we went and set up and tried calling in that female, but we didn't have any luck. So we moved on to another piece of property. And as we were heading over there, Stewart actually got a phone call from the landowner.
And we just got done talking to a landowner just a few minutes ago. He's got 4 farms. I shot one last night right before dark. That landowner told me about this guy and that he wanted me to get a hold of him. So word of mouth, you make one farmer happy, then you pick up some others. We're gonna go over and check these guys out and these farms out and see what they look like. So he saw 2 this morning and he wants them gone. They're calf killers, and we're gonna go see if we can help him out. So stay tuned and see what happens.
Farmer said he seen a couple of coyotes go up in this timber this morning about an hour ago. We slipped in here and we're gonna try and call them back out. Wind may get us, but we gotta try something. We know there's coyotes in the area, so we'll start out with a little howling on the Reese diaphragms.
The wind wasn't perfect for the setup, but we tried to make it work. We put the call a little bit farther away than what we normally do. I did some howls on the Reese diaphragms and hadn't seen anything, didn't have any responses. We were sitting in this old fence row with a bunch of trees, and we had a big pond right out in front of us. And I switched over to doing some like gray fox distress or something on the Icotech. And all of a sudden, this coyote comes trotting down the pond dam, dips down and swings out around downwind of the call.
Where's he at? On the pond, baby. See it.
Paul seen this coyote first, and where I was sitting, I couldn't hardly see him, and he was coming in out of some brush, and he come down off a pond bank. Next thing you know, he pops up in the field, and I was able to see him and get the camera on him at that point.
You want to? I'm on. Whatever. Not stress. Redemption, baby.
You know, it's been a rough ride for Paul, and we don't want to jinx it at this point, but we think his bad run is finally over.
All right, guys. Well, we just knocked a dog down. Talked to the farmer this morning. He said he was in here about 7 a.m. and two dogs ran up on this hill whenever he was checking cows. So it's about 9:30 when we got in here this morning, and we slipped in here. Kind of a little tight area, you know, 150 yard shot maybe. Got a pond bank up in front of us, and the corral's right over here to the left of us. So we just slipped in here, and I just got my Reese diaphragms and my amp horn the other day and let out some lone howls with the diaphragms, and then I went over to the jack on crack and gave it a little bit of time to cool down and quiet down, and looked over on the pond bank, and there's a coyote coming across the pond bank. It was trying to get downwind of us because the winds, we got a crossing wind here, and he finally decided he was going to come off that pond bank, come down and onto the edge of the field, and kind of looked our way and was checking the wind and stuff, and I just took the shot and dropped it. If you guys don't have some Reese Outdoors diaphragms, get this 6-pack can. There's 4 howlers, 2 distress calls. Distress, you can do about any kind of distress on them. But let's get out here and check this coyote. Hit him in the head.
The night before, Stewart had called me and wanted to know if I could come up. I'd been working on building this AR, and I was like, sure, you know. So it's it's dark outside, so I throw a target up at like 45 yards and just sighted in dead on at 45. And so I had a new AR. It was kind of exciting, you know, and this coyote standing probably 100 yards away, and I put it on his front shoulder and pulled the trigger, and he dropped. And I thought, well, that, you know, great. And Stewart's like, well, you hit him in the head. I was like, what? Ain't no way I hit him in the head. He goes, no, you hit him in the head. And I was like, okay, whatever. We get out there, and sure enough, I hit him right in the head.
That's a big dog.
That is a big dog. Big old male. You know, here lately I've been having a string of bad luck. Gun malfunctions, just crazy stuff. But this coyote means so much to me right now.
Got a little bit of redemption this time. I think that was about the end of the whole Landsberg deal.
So we got into this coyote, and he came out in the field, and what do we like to call these coyotes?
When we kill him,
Yeah.
we Heany'd it. When we miss him or we have a malfunction, that's Landsberg it.
Because it was
When
bad
we
luck.
have to go back to the stand a couple times a day, that's Stewie'd it.
You know, what goes around comes around, so I just got to make sure that I don't catch Landsberg disease.
We do like calling them goners too. And this one is definitely a goner. Goner.
This segment of the job is brought to you by Predator Hunter Outdoors. Keep hunting after the sun goes down.
This particular spot we went to on this day was actually the same landowner where Paul got things back on track, and my son was running the second camera.
The day we were there then, the wind was all wrong for this set, so we just passed it up and figured we'd come back. So
The setup on this place is pretty cool because you can park on the back side of the hill, and you walk up and you kind of sit right up on top of the hill and you can see forever. And there's a big CRP patch about 400 or 500 yards away that we're trying to call the coyotes out of most of the time. We get set up, and Paul's looking through his scope and sees a coyote way out there.
Coyote. Down there. Down there at the very end of the tree line, right inside the timber.
This little one here?
Yeah, down at the very end of that point. Look right on the edge of that timber. You find him?
No.
See that big tree down there at the end?
Yeah.
Go straight over into the brush. He's sitting right on the edge of the brush. Just sitting there.
Looking at it?
Yep.
How far over in the brush from that tree is he?
You see the big hedge tree?
Yeah.
To the right of it, about 25 yards, in that shady spot. Just sitting there watching. Okay, so Cottontail's not getting him.
Paul and I were kind of at a loss for what to do. You know, when we got one we see like that, you know, we kind of, you know, they're not running, they're staying there. So we're going to throw some different stuff at them, see if we can get them interested. And
He's just sitting there, like nonchalantly.
try like a mouse squeaker, like a coaxer.
And we called and called. I threw everything at him but the kitchen sink. I mean, she wasn't moving, you know. She's just gonna sit there and listen. And in fact, I kind of got discouraged because, I mean, I had tried everything.
What do you think? Howl at him?
I handed Heany the remote, and he was throwing calls at her, and she still wasn't happening. And I told Heany, I was like, hey, let's just dig a little bit deeper. Let's get a little more serious, you know. Hit her with pissed coyote, TT pissed coyote.
There he's standing up.
He hit that pissed coyote about the second house. She stood up and she's just looking right at us. And he switched over to Coyote Smackdown by Tony Tebby, and it was just like a lightning bolt. Like, she went from sitting there just looking, and here she come, just hauling it.
He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. You see him now? see him down by the tree?
Moving over.
Yeah, he's coming right now.
I can't see. Oh, I see. He's coming hard.
Yeah.
Right on it, Paul.
I'm gonna let him come on in.
Oh, yeah. Whenever you're ready, I'm right on it.
This segment of the job is brought to you by Tony Tebby's Signature Sounds, second to none.
It was just like a lightning bolt. Like she went from sitting there just looking, and here she come, just hauling it.
Yeah.
That was awesome, dude.
Dog down.
What do you think, buddy?
I think that was awesome.
Well, you made the call. You told me try to piss the coyote, and the coyote smacked down, and here he comes, didn't
Well,
he?
he lost interest in everything else. We tried all the distress, and it's real thick, about 500 yards down here to the south of us. We set up, start out with distress because it looks like there might be a cat in the area, maybe, you know. I don't think the call had been on that long, maybe a minute, and I just seen a white spot down there underneath the hedge tree. He was sitting down there on his haunches just watching. He kind of looked at us, and that was about it. I said, hit that pissed coyote, TT pissed coyote, and then go to den raid or smackdown, one of the two. Jason hit that pissed coyote, and then that was smackdown, wasn't it?
Yep.
He went to smackdown, and that sucker perked up, jumped up, and come 350 yards across the field, right to us, within 50 yards of the call. So
How far was he when you ranged him, Paul, when he was laying down?
he was laying down. He was 425. So he come almost all the way across that field right to us.
He's laying out there, what, about 70 yards?
From us, yeah, I shot him about 70 yards. So let's go see what
Let's
we
go
got.
get your coyote, buddy.
We just got this beautiful female. Wow. She got a white tip? No white tip. Well, hey, we set up. We had a feeling that there were probably going to be some coyotes down here in this thick stuff. We hadn't been calling a minute, and I seen her stand up. I think she was bedded down there in the edge. And we threw every distress at her we possibly could, and she wasn't having nothing to do with it. And finally, Jason's like, well, you just pay attention to her on the scope. He hit pissed coyote, and she had actually laid back down. She stood up, and as soon as he hit smackdown, just like her tail was on fire, hauling it right at the call. She run up here, probably 40 yards from the call, stopped, and the rest is history. We got another goner on her hands. So she's a pretty female, good looking dog. So